All right, hello and welcome everyone to our next speaker, which is Mr. Destin Gerek. Destin and I met only last year at an event in Colorado that was focused completely on pleasure. So, it was cool and we met and we were dads and I heard about his journey and we got to connect there and stayed connected through time. And he's just been blowing up, on my Facebook feed. He recently launched his new book, The Evolved Masculine, which is becoming a bestseller. And there it is, beautiful, really incredible book.
Always ready.
Yep, you can download that first chapter, which even the first sentence is just like, wow, it pulls you in. And Dustin's done some really cool things in his life in terms of experimenting with this archetype, which I'll let him kind of talk about a little bit. And I just love Destin and everything that he's putting out there. I resonate so much with his experience. And so when it came time to put together the lineup for Dad Week, I immediately knew that, he's someone that I wanted to be in the lineup. And so grateful. Destin, I know you're super busy with everything that you're doing. And I just so appreciate you giving, this 30 minutes of your time to teach your wisdom with the dads who are in this program. We've been having an amazing week. And I think this will be the final beautiful cherry on top in terms of being our final speaker for the week. So with that, thank you, Destin, for being here. And I hand it over to you if you want to talk just a little bit more about your own journey, your path, what you're doing in the world, and how maybe being a dad has impacted that.
Yeah, I can take 30 minutes right there. So,
Yeah.
again, my name is Destin Gerek. I am the founder of the Evolved Masculine. We're now a global organization and company that serves men all over this planet, primarily around forming a healthier relationship to their masculinity, crystallizing a vision that you want to, of the man that you want to be in the world, which we're going to kind of tap into tonight. As well as provide a variety of tools and practices to help you take it out of the idea realm and start embodying it now. Along that way, we also dive into what I call sexual self-mastery, reprogram away from a lot of the broken shit that we learned about sex and our sexuality, with things that actually have us feeling more full, more whole, more integrated, more sovereign in our being, and actually allows us to create better sexual experiences for both ourselves and anybody we're in contact with. And the final major area is what I call understanding women and the feminine. If you're a man and you're into women, chances are you've been a little confused by them once or twice in your life. Yeah. Uh, this, like all the other parts, were really born from my own pains, frustrations, intense difficulties, and a burning desire and commitment to find a better way. And over the years and through intense commitment, I did find a lot of better ways, and here to really help you have a better understanding of what's happening with women collectively, as well as any particular woman in your life, so that, again, you can have healthier relationships, feel more sane in the process, and hopefully everybody benefits. So I'm very grateful, Jamin, for you bringing me on here. I said yes immediately because I'm a relatively new father. My daughter is 2.5. My wife is currently pregnant with our second.
Wow,
And
congrats.
oh yeah, like 5.5 months now. She's
Wow.
very pregnant. So in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I have friends who have fully grown children. In the grand scheme of things, I'm still on the early side. So I don't know where you watching this, where you are in that journey of fatherhood, but I know that transition was very difficult for me. It was a straight up ego death.
Mhm.
And there are aspects of that for as much as I thought, like, I'm ready, like I was like 39 years old when I had my first child, like, not exactly young at the start. I'm like, but I wanted it by then. I know many fathers, it's more like something that kind of happens to you. And that's where you're stepping into it from. Like, I wanted it. I thought, I'm good, I'm ready. And still, it's like, there's so much that I didn't understand that I was going to experience. And the title I wanted to really focus in on today was on fatherhood as a rite of passage. That is very much what I experienced it as. And my work has very much made me aware of these notions of rites of passage and how much of Western civilization, anyway, has doesn't have the same connection to rites of passage as other cultures have and do have and have throughout time. But rites of passage are very powerful. They are transition points in a person's life from one. It's like there was life before and there was life after, and it's almost like completely different use. It's completely different use. And while we do have things that end up creating that, we don't have the same rite of passage for it. We don't have the same the tribe coming together to support that rite of passage. And it's more of just like, it happens, good luck. And fatherhood very much was that the hardest part about it for me, and you know, as all of you fathers know, there are many challenging aspects. The hardest part of it for me was everything that I thought of myself as, my identity, so much of what was so important to me and who I thought of myself as and how I walked through the world, gone. Just gone. It's like, it would just, it became impossible to continue to prioritize that way. So like, say, like your priorities change, and so that's a nice way of putting it. It's more. It isn't someone to say, "Hey, you know what? I've got different priorities now." It's more like it felt again like thrust upon me that it was impossible to prioritize the same things anymore. My child, and with that, my wife, had such intense needs that I could not ignore. And I felt so challenged by this part of me that was in resistance. But this thing that's so important to me, my identity, this is who I am. I can't, it's like I don't have time for And the more that I resisted that, the more I clung to what was, the more painful it was for everybody. The more painful it was. And it, step by step, it wasn't all at once. I wish it was. Step by step, I allowed myself to let go. To let go of, well, there's something I learned about 15 years ago when I had my initial spiritual awakening about how when change is happening, the more we resist that change, the more we cling to what was, the more we suffer. Alternatively, we could turn towards the change and open our arms to embrace what is wanting to come in. And so as long as I was clinging to what was, I was having a hard time fully experiencing the beauty of what was right in front of me and the beauty of what was wanting to occur right in front of me. And so as I have continued to do that, embrace fatherhood, embrace being a family man, having a family, it did require a reimagination of self, a reinvention of self. And it's not who I was, it's not who you were. But it doesn't have to be lost. That it can be evolution. It can be an opportunity. It's very much like the whole, however cliche as it may be, the caterpillar, chrysalis, and butterfly element. It can feel like death. Where you could be like, I was becoming such an amazing caterpillar, so big, it was so strong. All the lady caterpillars were really into me. You're not a caterpillar anymore, man. Yeah.
I love this analogy, and I love what you're saying, Destin, because here you are, right? A man that many men look up to. You've lived life kind of to this rock star archetype, the evolved masculine, the sexual mastery and the understanding of women that you have in your life, right? And so it's kind of like you had so much figure it out even when you became a dad. And so many people become a dad without having nearly half as much or a quarter or a tenth of that
That's
figured
why I thought, I'm good, yo.
out, right?
I got this.
And you experience that exact same thing that every dad experiences. And I think for many dads, they're even though the kids are older, they're still stuck in that place where there's like this half acceptance. You know, this it's like, okay, yeah, this is happening, but I've got to go do this. I've got, you know, and it's like this, you know, you can't kind of deny it because it's around you all the time. But there is, and I don't think it's necessarily the men, you know, in this group, but there is this epidemic more broadly of, you know, married woman, single mother, right? And so there are these dads who aren't able to, they're just so afraid of that ego death. They're so afraid of that metamorphosis into a butterfly, for example, from a caterpillar. And it ends up being the moms who are in a relationship, but they're kind of single momming because the dads are doing their own games internally of avoiding or, you know, whatever it is, shutting down, and not quite taking on the challenge. And so, you know, wherever people are in their journey with that transition point, and especially as someone who came into that same transition point kind of well resourced but still being challenged by it, it just shows that that rite of passage truly is something that's challenging yet beautiful, and only by going into the darkness can you come back out into the light. So what would you say to dads who might be stuck in that place where they haven't, that might even still be in the darkness, and they haven't come out into the light with that elixir? Like, what message would you have for them?
I would like to invite you to begin a process of envisioning this man that you're being called into being. This man who is a father. And it's like you are still you, but there are so many different elements of you know, our notions of who I am can sometimes get distorted because we start to identify with like what we do or what we have as the identity, and those things are mutable. They can shift and change. But underneath all of that, there is a core. There is a core essence that is you. It's underneath the clothes that you wear, any social signaling, any persona you like to project into the world, or that you even like to think of yourself as. Underneath all of that, there is a core essence. And that core essence, that is you. And that cannot be threatened. That cannot be threatened. And that you has limitless expression, possible expression, limitless possibility. And so I want to invite you to begin to dream into this next level version of who you could be. So whether you're a relatively new father or you've got 6 kids and the oldest is 32, wherever you are on this journey, we always have this opportunity to re-envision who we are going to be in the world. And so you can start with just playing with that idea of, if you could re-envision yourself, which you can, who would you be? And rather than these are the elements of my identity, and I am a father. What if in this game of envisioning, that being a father is a root, a core foundational element that then you build off of? Who can you expand into being? Fatherhood forces us to expand so much, to expand your capacity, to expand what you are capable of doing, to expand the amount of intense energy that you can both navigate and that you can hold. It's powerful. What else can you do with that? What else do you wish to do with that? What other of the lessons and teachings, medicine that you have already experienced through fatherhood, let alone all that you will experience, can be taken in to be applied to other aspects of your life, to other aspects of what you want to do in life, to other aspects of who you want to be in life. Who is this man? Start to play with. Jamin, do you mind if I play with you for a moment?
Just play, brother.
Please. Um, and I invite anybody, all those watching or listening, to play with this on your own here as well. Do some free writing as well during or after. Hit me up. I've got like a little audio version of this that you can play with too. Um, what what are the big medicines that you've taken from fatherhood, fatherhood as medicine, that you have and can apply to the rest of your world and what you want to do and be?
Yeah, beautiful, brother. Beautiful prompt. What comes to mind right away, just as you say that, is more empathy, patience, and understanding first and foremost. So knowing that I didn't want to continue kind of the judgment and kind of strict cycle that I had from my parents, and wanting to shift that paradigm into more connection. Um, I'm finding that I'm bringing out much more empathy, understanding, and patience to learn, especially when my children are so young and they're still developing logic and language, and I have to say something to them, 300 times, for it to finally stick. And so just that meeting each moment that I see them as new, and then expanding that to my community, to my partner, even to myself, and just allowing that spaciousness to be in that perfect imperfectness. I think that's one key thing that has expanded beyond just from what fatherhood has given me. And the other medicine is a reminder of life, and a reminder to be in joy, to just allow more fun, and to not be so, okay, we've got to stay on the schedule, we've got to do this, we have to X.
Mhm.
Instead, it's like, oh my God, let's make this moment as fun as possible. Let's laugh about spaghetti on the nose or whatever it might be. And let's just truly, like, man, this moment is just so full of life. And so I get that when it's like playing with my kids is like a practice where my heart opens up. And then I like to go do that with my other adult friends too, and just be in that moment. So I think those two things really kind of come to mind right away, in terms of medicine from fatherhood that I expand.
Excellent, excellent. So, as another example way of looking at it, we're all experiencing uh, something that you have envisioned and like birthed into being this week with Dad Week 2020 hashtag. Um, and in this creation process, in navigating this and holding this, have have any of those pieces that you just, one of those two pieces or anything else from your experiences of fatherhood, shaped how you've been able to navigate and hold this container?
Yeah, yeah, brother. So another key thing is not having specific expectations, right? So it wasn't like it has to be this, and then I give myself approval that I did a good job, right?
Mm,
It's just that I'm going to do this. I'm going to express myself. I'm going to just call in the dads that need to be here, the speakers who need to be here, and it's going to be what it is. And regardless of what it ends up being, I'm going to be proud of myself for putting forth the effort of doing it, and recognize and honor myself for that. And that definitely came from fathering and just seeing my kids trying and failing, but
mhm,
just loving them through that experience. And for me, this time I can be very, in my masculine, like, go creator, here's the objectives, here's the KPIs, how are we measuring against this? And I said, I'm just gonna let it be what it is, and love myself through it. And so I think that was a key thing that comes to mind right away.
Excellent. There's a lot of that I could still learn. I'm like, yeah, good. I'm not necessarily great at that. So that's wonderful. So yeah, I know that we have like roughly 10 minutes left. Let's see if we can I lead you through like a 5-minute exercise?
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll normally do something like this in 20 plus, so let's see. Let's see. All
All
right,
right.
so wherever you are, I just ask you to close your eyes for a moment, unless you're driving, in which case you shouldn't be watching Facebook Live. Um, Wherever this is, close your eyes, allow your attention to come inward, and we're just going to take a couple of slow, deep breaths to just start to drop into the body. Whew. Just gonna shake out your body for a moment, and then we'll do another one of those. Whew. I'm gonna imagine a door in front of you. Imagine the size of the door, the width of the door, the material the door is made out of, whether there's a handle, a knocker, a doorbell, whatever there is. And on the other side of this door, there's this more, I don't know, evolved masculine father version of you, this version of you who's much more integrated, much more fully, like he's been through everything that you've been through, and he's a couple steps still ahead. So whatever it is that you've been struggling with or in frustration around or can't figure out, he's on the other side of it. Just as you currently are on the other side of some things the past version of you had been struggling with. There's a man on the other side of this door. And so you lift your fist to knock, and that door slowly opens. And as that door opens, you see this figure standing there, bathed in light. And notice, what is the first thing that you notice about this man? Makes eye contact with you. You feel this electric charge between the two of you instantly. It's like zzz, it's like this electric current passing between your eyes. As you continue to breathe, there's something about him. I don't know, his potency, his groundedness, his sincerity, his openness, his empathy, his understanding, his compassion, his clarity, his capacity, the way he's stands and holds himself, his confidence, his truth, his integrity, his authenticity. Notice what it is about him. Maybe something that I said, maybe something else entirely, but some quality, some principle, some value, something that he embodies and holds just struck you immediately. And feel it, see it. Notice what it is like to be in the presence of this version of you that holds that. And it's as if through this connection from your eyes, with every one of your inhalations, you're breathing in a bit more of that quality, that principle, that value, that way of being. Only as much as you are capable of taking in at this moment. However, maybe it's more than you would have expected. And breathe that in. And on your exhale, imagine you're grounding it through every cell of your being. Every inhale, you're breathing in more of it. Feeling your whole body, even your energetic body, expand with that inhalation, as if you are growing, you are expanding in your being from taking in this attribute and way of being. He is so generously sharing that which he has worked hard for, that which he has cultivated within himself, sharing it with you. And you feel yourself expanding. You feel yourself, it looks like you're growing taller. Your head's holding a little higher. And your sense of yourself expanding. Feel the little changes in your body, your being. Notice whatever you notice. So just again, just imagine, just feel, just believe. What if it's impossible? What if from this moment forward, the quality just start to show up just a little bit more in your life than it did yesterday? And from there, it starts to continue and grow out even further, rippling out day by day, step by step, breath by breath, in all that you do. Each step growing and expanding more, because you are only seeing this quality, this attribute in this man before you, because it is a quality that exists within you, yearning to be more fully expressed. And that fuller expression begins right now. Right now. Why? Because you are choosing it. And you're a powerful motherfucker. So choose it now. In every moment, every opportunity with your child, with the child's parent, with other people in your life, you are going to have an opportunity to choose it or not choose it. How conscious are you going to be? Are you going to choose it, or are you going to fall into an old habit pattern? If you fall back into an old habit pattern, just notice. Notice as soon as you can, and remember this moment. Remember this intensity. Remember that this quality exists within you, and you can choose it again. Click a redo on what you just did. Oh, wait, that was just an old habit pattern. Who am I choosing to be right now? Let me choose it. And from this moment forward, every time you have an opportunity to choose this way of being once more, you will falter and allow those falters to remind you even more deeply that that's not who you are anymore. This is who you're choosing to be. This is who you're choosing to be. This is who you are choosing to be. Breathe it in. Exhale. Shake out your fingers, your toes, and as you're ready, allow your eyes to open once more.
Mm. Beautiful. I'm like tearing up. Oh man.
Oh,
Powerful.
before we move on, I just wanted to invite those you're watching, all the above, do some free writing about that, what you saw and what you experienced as soon as possible after this. Capture down everything you can. If you don't normally write, let this be an exception. Allow the very act of doing so will help you integrate it more fully into your system and also give you a reminder, something that you can look back on as well.
Yeah, and if you're interested, type it into the chat right now what that quality was, bringing it into written form, sharing it, let others seeing you in that. It gives it energy, it gives it power. I'm typing in mine right now.
And tell us.
So if you want to type yours into the chat and share it with this brotherhood, what was that quality that struck you about this man on the other side of the door? What a powerful process. Thank you for that, Destin.
Yeah, thank you. And I have a longer version of that. If you're interested, I'm happy to send it your way. Just send me a PM, what have you.
Cool. So as we do that, as we have these things coming in, Destin, we're coming to the close of time, and I had a request of you, and also want to make sure that people can know how to contact you and how to find you. And so, notwithstanding any other maybe final closing words that you want to share, I am in love with your Evolved Masculine Manifesto. And I would love if you have it there with you. I know you have the book. If you could read that to us in your own voice, because as dads, the center point of that, we have our kids, we have our partners, and then there's just ourselves. And when we evolve and come into that evolved masculine in our core being, that can also ripple into the dad as much as the dad can then ripple back into the core individual. And so if you'd be open to it, my request is if you could read that manifesto to us as you share your
Where did you see this manifesto?
On your website, I'm pretty sure. Let me see.
I want to make sure that I'm sharing what you're wanting me to share.
Pretty much the description of what the evolved masculine is.
Okay, so I'm going to do a version of it from here because that's going to be a lot easier for me to do, right?
Yeah.
The evolved masculine is grounded. He's solid in himself, and I'm gonna go. So fucking take this in. Take this shit in. The evolved masculine is grounded. He's solid in himself. He is rooted into this earthly plane. He is safe and secure in his being, creating a space such that others feel safer and secure simply by being in his presence. He is connected to the primal animalistic aspects of his being and the powerful energies that he can draw from that. He owns his sexuality, his desires, his fantasies. He is neither controlled by them nor are they repressed. He is a creative being. He recognizes that his life is his ultimate masterpiece. Everything that he does, every word that he speaks, every thought that he thinks is another brushstroke on the masterpiece that is his life. He is a man of action, a man connected to his power. He chooses to be powerful. If he says something, he makes it so. He is connected to his heart, his empathy, his compassion, his ability to love, pour forth love, to fiercely love, to be love, to receive love, knowing that he is worthy of love. He is a man of authenticity who speaks his truth, who knows his truth, his desires, his fears, his boundaries. He's able to know what they are, communicate, and maintain those truths. He cultivates a fierce intellect while simultaneously being able to, he practices stilling that mind, find quiet in that mind, and with that to be able to tap into that deeper intuition and to trust in that intuition. And he is a man who cultivates his connection to his spirituality, his own unique spirituality, not driven by any old dogma of the past, but that which is uniquely his own, and one that he has his whole life to explore and deepen that connection with. And he is a man who embraces, knows, and loves his inner feminine. Doesn't simply accept it, but has come to love her within. Cherish and appreciate the gifts that she has to bring into his life. And knowing and loving the her within himself only allows him to love the her externally more deeply, more fully, more purely. This is the evolved masculine.
Oh, brother, beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, that is just such a beautiful, beautifully written piece and beautifully spoken piece that you just brought out to life. So thank you for that, Destin. How can we find you? If you want to learn more about the evolved masculine, about sexual mastery, the feminine, all this beautiful work that you're doing in the world, brother, how can people find you?
Yeah, sure. evolvedmasculine.com. I try to keep it easy. And of course, since many of you are seeing this through Facebook, connect to me on here. Destin Gerek. I also have a new The Evolved Masculine Facebook fan page. I'm pretty responsive. Sometimes I get overwhelmed. I've got a whole team at this point, so one way or another, you're not going to get ignored. Sexual self-mastery is one of my foundational offerings. I really believe that we've been getting a major reflection over the past few years at least, that, hey, you know what? We've got a lot of shitty programming when it comes to our sexuality. If we want our children, fathers, to have a better relationship to their sexuality and to create better sexual experiences, then it starts with really rectifying our own. And let's do so in a way that's actually really pleasurable and enjoyable.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Beautiful, Destin. Thank you so much. If you're open to a little bit more time, I'd love to open up to one question.
Of course.
Got time for that from anyone here. So if you have a question for Destin, you can type it into the chat or go ahead and come off of mute and ask him yourself while we have time with him. Thank you, Destin.
And thank you, Jimmy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm curious. Thank you, Destin, for sharing everything. And I'm just curious about your where that evolved masculine came from.
Short answer. I lacked healthy male role models growing up, and that combined with some traumas that I experienced in my youth, I spent quite a while very disconnected from my masculinity and very disconnected from other men. And so at a certain point, starting my late 20s, I kind of made a declaration that, if I am having this hard of a time finding the role models that I'm looking for, then fuck it. I'm going to challenge myself to become the role model that I wish that I had. And so that is my challenge for you, Rahul, and all who are watching this. Become the role model that you wish that you had for your children, for other men, for this world that's starving for new models of healthy masculinity.
100%. 100%.
I feel that in my balls.
I'm glad I could touch you there.
And on that note,
final words.
Dustin, again, thank you, brothers, so much. Thank you, everyone who's attending live right now, everyone who's watching later. So much appreciation for all you dads for stepping into this, and especially for this dad, soon to be a dad of two, Destin Gerek. Thank you for the world that you do, for the work that you do in this world. And you definitely, I see you as a role model, brother, and I'm so glad to get deeper into connection through this, and hope that just continues to go on. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and also just sharing so much about your own journey through Facebook, about what's happening for you as you're expanding the work that you're doing. All of that in its entirety, I find to be very inspiring. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being a guest speaker. And thank you all. Take care.